I'm Deborah Lamata, and this is Women's Entrepreneur Spotlight. I believe that every woman entrepreneur has a story to tell. When we share our stories, we can help the next woman who is starting their own business, or even help someone who has been at it for a while. I hope that you can find your takeaway from these stories to help you in your journey of being a woman entrepreneur. Hi, I'm Deborah Lamata, and this is Women Entrepreneur Spotlight. Today, I have a very special guest, Eunice Chen-Promotorov, owner of Mrs. At Last. And did I pronounce the last name correctly?
You know, that's as close as you can get. It's Promotorov. At least that's how my husband tutors me on our last name. But that's pretty close for a North American accent, right?
Thank you. So there are two questions that I like to ask to get us warmed up. If you could live or visit anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Visit, we were supposed to go out to do a cruise from Shanghai to Japan pre-pandemic. That got canceled. And we wanted to do that because my husband really does love Asia, East Asian countries. And taking him back to, I think, where our ancestral lands are would have been fun, but that got canceled because of the pandemic. So that's really next on the list is to visit Japan. Didn't get a chance to do that. I had been there previously. He hadn't, and he loves all things, from Japan. We love living where we are. And so we are Canadians, both of us. Our business, of course, is situated out of Delaware. Our operations are out of the US, but we are Canadians by nationality. And we love living just north of Toronto. I think there's far more places that we could probably explore. But one of our favorite places in Canada, if you haven't had a chance to go before, is Whistler. The sights and the sounds and just the serenity is beautiful.
Wow.
If you like all things outdoors, from hiking to do things that are water related, Whistler is quite nice. Whistler's, just the scenery out there is amazing. So that's what it is currently. I may change my mind as I get more exposure to other geographies, right?
That's great. And that's funny. I just interviewed my cousin, and she's in Canada on the West Coast. And she has been there. She's been there for a long time. And the pictures I have seen and what she says, it's absolutely beautiful. And yes, one day I would like to go to Canada and visit both sides and in between.
It's going to take a while, though, to cover it all because we're so vast, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
I was thinking about that. I thought, 16 really isn't that long ago, but it is. It's like such a long time ago when it comes to lived experience. I think at that time I was just very sheltered and I didn't challenge the status quo. A bit tough though when you're 16 because you're still living with your parents, and how much can you challenge? But you're just trying to find yourself being a teenager, not quite an adult, but you feel like you are. I would say, be probably a little bit more bold and don't do what was stereotypical. So for me, 16 was back in the 90s. And then we did a lot of things that were very gender stereotypical. I should have probably thought, what is my true self? What is it that I would have liked to do and not conform to what other teenage girls were doing at that time?
Right.
And it's a very different time now where everyone's embraced for, inclusion and diversity is such a bigger thing. But back then it was different, even though I lived in Toronto, right? So I would say, have the courage just to break out, be your true self, and just be unapologetic for who you are. And I probably didn't do that as much as I would have liked, right?
Yeah, no, I like that. And you're right. When we're 16, we sometimes think we know it all. And then sometimes it's like, nope, I'm good. I still want to be home. I'm not in any hurry. And then the next day, all right, I'm out the door. I'll see you. I've got it all covered. Mrs. At Last. Mrs. At Last has one simple goal: to give the gift of memories from the moment she said yes all the way to her happily ever after, which is your mission statement on your website, which I love. How and why did you want to start your own business?
It really stemmed from our own wedding experience. So we just got married just over 7 years ago in 2015. Really small wedding. And we purposely did that for a reason. You wanted to be intimate. We wanted to be with our closest friends and family. And even that, we only had 27 people, including the two of us, was such a harrowing experience, along the way. And I didn't think I was going to turn into quote unquote one of those bridezillas, but I did. Everything was causing a meltdown, Deborah, from, I can't figure out the guest list, to where people are going to be seated, to how to change a venue very last minute. And I can't imagine what brides would have gone through if they had a 100 plus wedding, to even 300, because back in the day, people had a size of 300.
Right. Absolutely.
And I thought, you know what? If well-meaning friends hadn't stopped to remind me and said, you've got to enjoy all the moments along the way and treasure all of that. Because if you go back and be stressed about every single thing, it's going to be a big blur from the time you were engaged until the wedding day itself. And that's just not worth it. And so this is why we wanted to come up with something to be able to bring back the celebration and joy into a bride's wedding journey. And that's what really differentiates us, Deborah, from some of the other bridal subscription boxes or wedding boxes. But for us, we don't feel it's just about the wedding planning. Have you actually stopped to celebrate your engagement truly? Getting a surprise in the mail to remind you about the planning process, or bridal showers. I'm going to be a bride at last. I want to be able to tell everyone how excited I am about that. But you spend too much time getting absorbed in the smaller details, as you should, but it just turns into a big stressful frenzy. And that's where this idea was born. We decided that we were going to start it pre-pandemic, got a bit slowed down because, 2 years of slowing down across the world when it came to suppliers and logistics made it quite a bit of a challenge.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And we're thinking, even more so in a pandemic, that's an extra layer of stress that women weren't expecting.
No.
And I know a number of pandemic brides who were just out of their mind. They had the perfect wedding plan, and all of a sudden all these COVID protocols, you wanted to keep your guests safe. The number of postponements they had to do until they finally had a small 50 person, maybe, when it was allowed. You just want to get married. It's not even about us anymore. It's about the importance of, the gesture and the commitment.
Right.
And so we're seeing a lot of trends around micro weddings. Many brides had to give up what they envisioned in mind, a big bridal shower, an engagement party, a bachelorette, going away to Vegas.
Right.
Doing all those really stereotypical things.
Absolutely.
And they had to settle. And some of our customers had said, you know what? The boxes themselves have made it more bearable. And it was a small way for me to be able to enjoy those milestone celebrations in a safe way with my close friends and family. It's not the same thing as having something big or major, but I still got to celebrate, and that helped make it memorable. Right? And so that's a nice feeling.
It is.
When you know that you've made a bit of a difference, especially, and we're not out of the pandemic, we still have to be cautious.
Right.
I think couples are rethinking about how they're doing things. And so in hindsight, glad that pre-pandemic we came up with this idea. It was born about our own experience.
Right.
And you know what? We're making it a bit more special for brides.
And like you said, with COVID and the cancellations, along with being a podcaster, I'm also a wedding officiant. And I know 2 years ago when everything started to shut down and these brides were just besides themselves, with, like you said, they didn't have a venue anymore. They couldn't invite the people they wanted to have at their wedding day. And then to come fast forward and have something come out of it as good as Mrs. At Last, where we just do forget to celebrate why we're getting married and to celebrate that love. So giving that bride that Mrs. At Last subscription box, I think, is a fantastic idea. Because as women, we always forget to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Always last, right?
Right.
There's always some sort of other priority, especially for the bride. I think she will think about all the things that she'll want for the wedding. Yes. But it's all in the details. I want a live band. I want this type of food. But is it really for her? And I say broadly it is, but it's not a treat.
No.
And she may try to say, well, I bought the dress I wanted. And that does create memories, but this is a simple way, luxury. And I love surprises. I'm one for wrap it up for my birthday or for Christmas, if you observe. And even the fact that I know roughly what the idea might be, the fact that I get to tear it open, I love that feeling. And anytime I get something in the mail that I had forgotten I ordered, maybe from Amazon, or someone had shipped across the country because it was some sort of special occasion, I'm like, oh, what is this? And even though it's ugly and it comes in a brown wrapper, you love that over and over again. And so we've made it really an unboxing experience. It doesn't come in brown paper wrapping or anything at all. From the bubble mailer, we printed on a bow, to the whole box itself when you open it up with the tissues. It's really meant to appeal to your senses. And that way, when a woman gets it, she's like, you know what? It's like it comes from a boutique. And it's
Absolutely.
all about the senses. And so we've taken a lot of time to craft all those details because we wanted it to be memorable. And that's exactly it.
That's right. So, and it's a total experience. And before we go any further, Eunice, tell my
Mhm.
listeners where they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So our website is www.mrsatLastbox.com. And we came up with the name because you know what? I wasn't a young bride in my 20s. By the time you do the math and said I was a teenager in my 90s, you know, there's well-meaning friends and family that are like, finally, you found a man or partner or spouse or whoever you want to be with in the future forever.
Right.
And that's why we came up with this clever name. You're a
I
Mrs.
love it.
at last. And even though you don't call yourself a Mrs., you know, in this day and age, maybe you still want to stay Ms. for professional reasons. It denotes the fact that you're settled, you know, and you're happy being in this type of relationship. You had a chance to commemorate it, etc. And you know, I don't want to sound a little bit old-fashioned. We'll call it classic.
I
At
like that.
last is, you know what? I finally made a decision that was good for me.
Right.
I've chosen this life partner, and I'm happy that we have, you know, this formal agreement of being coupled, right, and being in this relationship with a commitment.
I love it. And the whole experience of the subscription box, I do love. So in the beginning, when you were putting your business together, now does your husband help with the business also? Are you partnered together, or is this your own business?
Absolutely, we're partnered together, and we'll call him the founder because he's actually the brains and the entrepreneur behind the model itself. So I call myself co-founder as well as associate director. Although when it comes to speaking about the brand, I do more of this and telling our story. So we each have our own roles in what we do. But yes, the backbone of the business is my husband, and he does that full time, running our e-commerce business.
And did you two put together a business plan in the beginning?
We do, and we did, because we do both have business backgrounds from working for large, major corporations. So we did come in with a structured business sense of what we need to do. And not just one plan. So for the listeners, really important, if you don't know how to do that yourself, is to get some advice on how to have, we call it very simply, you know, you need a plan A, B, C.
Yes.
Go up to Z, all the way down to that detail, because you need contingency plans, you need a workaround. What's the backup if you get some sort of wrench thrown your way? Despite us being very planful people with probably a plan C or D, there was always a wrench in which we've learned and been better for it, right? So always.
Right. And I've said before too, even having, you know, you might start with plan A with your business plan, and it's going to evolve. It will evolve. I mean, as your business grows, as the structure changes, you know, that business plan is not set in concrete and will always be there, at least to refer back to. And I've told other people too, other women entrepreneurs, it's like, you know, it could be as much as a paragraph to start out with, but grow that business plan because you're going to use it in the beginning, the middle, and whenever you need to fall back on it. And a lot of small business owners also use it for small business loans, and that the banks and the lenders will ask for that business plan. So it's important in a lot of different ways. And I do talk a lot about that. So thank you for sharing what has worked for you too. Along with the business plan, marketing, how and what do you use, or how did you come about what works best for you as a marketing plan?
That has evolved. And when you're saying, you know, you have to have multiple plans, our plan A is what well-meaning industry professionals said we had to do. And they said, you've got to be in the space of paid ads. You got to get on Google. You have to be on Facebook. You have to be on Instagram. You have to spend X number of dollars on paid ads to draw the people into your store. And so I think of the old adage, which is you got to draw a horse to the water. But if you know the rest of it is that you can't make it drink. And so this is something we've learned after quite a bit of an investment. I don't want to scare any of the listeners as to how much that is. You've got to figure out what's the right formula. And so we went in being very optimistic that yes, paid ads works for everybody. It wasn't nearly as exponentially fantastic as we had thought. So we pulled back. And what we've been surprised about is that organic growth, word of mouth, old-fashioned way has worked far better. And so we are getting far more traffic by growing organically, whether it be on social media, et cetera. So that's our main marketing right now. And we kind of stopped and went, organic's free. And yet everyone said paid ads. And it's the consideration that marketing isn't necessarily what we remember from school or even in the last 5 years. It's really evolved quite a bit. So you do have to stay on top of trends, figure out how to find the people that you're looking for within your niche, and just be open to exploring beyond what you're being told is textbook. This is our biggest learning lately, actually.
Yes, and you are not the only one who has expressed it like that. From where I started out, I didn't have a budget when I started out with my wedding business, so it
Mhm.
was referral, and it still is referral. And it really is the best type of marketing for you, is to get that referral, the review on your website. You have fantastic 5.0 reviews on your website, and that speaks volumes in itself. You know, when you have all those reviews and good reviews. I know you don't like to give away your secrets of what's in your boxes, but can you tell the listeners, one, how and where would they go to subscribe, and maybe just a little hint of what's in the boxes?
Oh, happy to. Main website, this is at lastbox.com. We, of course, have our shop on Facebook, Pinterest, as well as Instagram, of course. So that's where most of our followers are seeing a lot of the traffic. Boxes, we've got 6 different themed boxes, all the way from engagement to the actual wedding day. Unlike some other boxes, you know, even though they have a theme, you'll find that there's a whole mishmash of items. We were very specific in making sure that we are curating items to that theme. And for the listeners, you know, you're listening in to the one who actually curated the box contents. It's very much from brides for brides. And much as I am a later in life bride, you can get married at whatever age.
That's
I
right.
did also check in with our target audience, you know, really 25 to say probably late 30s.
Okay.
Say, you know, what is it that you'd want with these themes? So this is how we made sure we got it right. It wasn't because Eunice thought this was the best thing. And if I did find something, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a throwaway. Use
Right.
once, never
And you're
use it
done.
again, and you're done. Like certainly something that would be memorable as a keepsake, practical, very cute, but yet useful. That was really important to me as I was selecting and curating our items. So starting with the engagement box, everything that you need to be able to celebrate. So think different kinds of party favors, whether you want to do a bit of a celebration, announce your nuptials or your recent engagement, or if you just want to blow up everything and hang things at your home. That way you can bask in the excitement that, you know, you just said yes. A number of practical things. So I will give a little bit of a sneak peek. I have found this amazing ring holder from one of our suppliers. And in my mind, I think an engagement ring or even your wedding band should be placed in a dish. I thought, but that's so commonplace. So we found this cute little ring holder,
Oh, I love
sits
it.
up like a little cone. And that way, you know, because I'm notorious for putting down my rings when I'm washing my hands or doing the dishes. And then it blends into the countertop.
Right.
And then I can't find it. And I freak out that I've lost the ring.
Like,
so now it's just perched up by the side where I can actually see it. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space and you can move it around and it won't break.
right.
So it's a cute little ring holder. And then the other thing that's very practical, so I'll talk about practical, not necessarily all the fun things, a ring size adjuster. Because in the summertime, my fingers get a little bit, you know, they puff up a little bit. But in the winter, my rings just spin around a little too much. And I don't want to permanently resize it. Because
Right.
then it'll be too tight in the summer and it'll be perfect in the winter. So I just pop them on. They're super comfortable.
Awesome.
And even a day that, you know, maybe you're retaining just too much water because you indulge too much in the snacks, you can take it off and then
Right.
it fits nicely whenever. And I thought, these things are brilliant. So I
It
made
is.
sure to include items like that,
I love
some
it.
mementos, some keepsakes, 6 different themes from engagement to the big day and
I
everything in
love it.
between.
And then can you choose how often you receive the boxes?
Yes. Because it really depends on how quickly you'll be getting married or if it's just around the corner. So if you pop into our website, there's a neat little tool. All you need to do is to pop in your wedding date, and then we provide you with two of the most likely options that we think will suit you. So there's a bit of an algorithm in the system. So you pop it in and you'll get a number of frequencies. Right now, we are offering them every 2 weeks, once a month, or every 2 months.
Oh, nice.
Most common is every month, because usually when the brides pop onto our website, they just got engaged and they're at least 6 months to a year out.
Right.
That's probably the most popular frequency.
Okay.
Some brides, though, you know, they're perhaps doing some sort of civil ceremony quite
Right.
soon, and they want to be able to have it faster.
Right.
Those are the ones that subscribe to your bi-weeklies. Finding is that gift givers, we do have bulk options as well. So you can get a 3-set box, you can get a 6-set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So our gift givers will say, you know, I'm going to buy all 3, have it shipped to my place. And then I may just kind of pop by every now and often to my girlfriend's place and surprise her with a box. So we've got some flexibility. It really depends on who's buying the boxes, you know, bride or gift giver. And if there's a custom type of plan that anyone needs for whatever special circumstances, we're happy to work with them on a one-off to make sure it suits them.
Nice. So I love it. So are you working the business full time?
I'm not. So my husband is. He
Oh,
manages all the logistics, working with suppliers and the execution of the plan. I say I help out part-time because I do work still full-time for a large corporation.
okay.
But I have to block off time to make sure that I'm supporting with my deliverables. I know you had said that you wanted me to talk a little bit about that. And so I carve away time on evenings, during evenings,
Okay.
to make sure that I cover off the tasks that I've agreed that I'm going to do,
Right.
take a look at my deliverables, whom do I have to follow up with, and weekends, aside from household chores and family
Right.
shares, I block away my time to make sure I'm lined up well for the next week. You
Yeah,
have
because
to do that.
you have to do
You've got to
that.
be disciplined. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. I know I have talked to some other entrepreneurs and they're trying to figure out how to do that. And it's basically get that calendar out, mark off the time on it, check it every day, every week, whatever time you're going to put aside for it, because it will get away from you. And having that visual in front of you does make a difference. You may not stick to it, but at least you'll get close to it.
I like
right?
to think that mine is an aspirational list of things that must be done. And then I prioritize them to say, how long will this take? I try to do it first before I get to the other things. But it becomes this big master list of juggling, what needs to be done with the house, what needs to be done with the full-time job, and then supporting the family, the family business. And sometimes you just have to juggle to say, what is the pressing priority?
Who or what motivates you?
That's a multifold answer. I don't know how many of the listeners have done certain types of personality tests or et cetera, but I've done a number throughout my career, and I've realized I'm one of those ones that are very goals driven myself. I love lists and the ability to be able to check things off and be like, haha, I did that, got it done.
There you go.
So a lot of it is me setting my own bar or knowing what I want to achieve. What motivates me with the business itself is actually my husband. So he's always been an entrepreneur. Everything that he set his mind to when it comes to what startup or what business he's doing, he's been successful in. And so that carries me knowing that I'm investing time into our business.
Absolutely.
And so I find that encouraging because I'm new to being an entrepreneur and a co-founder and doing your own, small business. But that's what gives me confidence is there's a set model that works, right? So this is why the two of us keep plugging it together. 2 years in a pandemic, despite sometimes a lot of disappointing outcomes, but that's what keeps driving us. And we're doing it together, so that's fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to have a partner to bounce things off. It's nice to have somebody to sit down and say, all right, these are our challenges that we're having right now. How can we get around it? How can we work through it? So, because there's so many women entrepreneurs that do not have somebody else or don't know where to reach out. So just real quick, one of the things that I am trying to do with the Women's Entrepreneur Spotlight is to put a network of women so that we can reach out to each other. And I would love to be able to add your name to that list if that's okay with you.
100%. And Deborah, that actually aligns with my day job. So I work for a large organization in the space of diversity and inclusion. And my area of focus or my portfolio is women in leadership, however you define yourself as a leader. And so it's about women's representation, women's equity, and how do we help support each other, perhaps in the form of mentorship or peer guidance, so that we can all raise each other up and succeed. And so I would love to. Thank you for including me, because that just comes full circle, right?
Thank you. Absolutely. And as I do these interviews, it's funny how there's always a piece of the person I'm interviewing that I connect with on some level. And so raising each other up is so important because, again, going back to saying we don't even take the time for self-care, we also sometimes forget to help each other in any way that we possibly can. So thank you and kudos to you. Has there been a downside of your business that you wish you could have changed or could change? And if you had a downside in the beginning, what would you have done differently to make it work better?
The whole downside was COVID.
Oh,
we wish
right.
we could have launched sooner. And so then our inventory was sitting for quite some time once it got produced. There was the delays in the supplier chain. What normally would have run really smoothly when it comes to supply chain would have been fine pre-pandemic. But then we found that, just getting product from abroad had some issues. And then customs brokers and a number of things. We feel that this was probably the biggest learning experience. Call it a practical MBA of sorts.
Right.
You can't learn what we've done in the last 2 years.
No.
So I want to say the length of time has been a bit of a downside. We wish we would have launched sooner. We're picking up now that things are reopening back safely again. But this just goes back to the planning. You never know what might be affecting all of us on a smaller or larger scale. This was one in a time in history. We're never going to live during this time again. But you can't really call that a downside because it allowed us time to do things properly. And so, but that's the two of us. Everything that's seemingly a challenge or an obstacle, we've looked at as being a huge learning experience that you normally would have never had to face.
Exactly. I think we're all like that when we have had a problem or a downside, that we hopefully all look at it as a learning experience, because you can't look at it any other way. What advice would you give to another woman entrepreneur just starting their own business? Aside
from, I think you've heard now a third time, make sure that if you don't know how to build a business plan, that you get some help from somebody who does. And it doesn't have to be an expert. Ask around, broaden your network. And I say as women, because women entrepreneurs have been around forever. But in the space that we're in, even though it's 2022, there are far more bold men entrepreneurs. And that's why we do need to reach out to the network, help support each other, and not be so, hold everything close to chest. I think when we do get a chance to build each other up, you'll learn far more. And that's what we did. I looked at a woman that I used to work with. She broke out from the corporate world and decided to start bravely her own business. And it was in the fashion industry. I'm like, yes, because when I knew her, she was very much into modeling and fashion and clothes. And we're like, good for you. And the fact that she left a very lucrative corporate job means a couple of things. One, do what you love, because as much as money is important to be able to run things, if you hate your job, the money won't make up for it. So she did something she loved. And two, bravely do something that you're passionate about. I look at her from just being 2 years further ahead. She points us in the right direction. She shares some of her contacts where possible. And sometimes she just validates whether or not we're on the right track and what else we could have considered, because she had already been through it. Wow. So that's the power of a mentor, having a network in which you can rely on that just broaden things beyond what you're capable of doing yourself.
That's right. And you definitely just believe in yourself and just go for it. Sometimes you just have to go and just say, I can do it. I can do this, no matter how scary it is. And like me, my knees were knocking when I did my first wedding.
Same, right? Same.
So on your website, your about page, and I love this, says pampering for all, and your pinky swear is to lessen the stress and to remind you to celebrate, which I absolutely love. And that comes back to, what you were saying, that we need to celebrate ourselves, and we need to, do a little self-care, and having this box arrive, and it's for you, it's a surprise, being able to have those feelings of opening up that box and going, I love it, and it's all for me, and I don't have to share it. Well, maybe, but it is for me, and I love everything about it. Eunice, thank you so much for today. I appreciate having you here today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I wish you the best and continued success. And any last words that you would like to share with my listeners?
Last words is exactly what you had said. Go for it. Make sure you do have a plan and have fun and celebrate every little success along the way. And so much as we're encouraging brides to celebrate those milestones, do the same for yourself. And this is what I'm encouraging the listeners to do. Maybe it's not one big sales milestone or revenue that you're looking for, but if you learned something along the way and it was a positive win, stop and celebrate that too. Or else you're going to get so caught up on all the things that didn't go the right way that you're going to end up losing yourself.
I love it. Thank you so much, Eunice. Mrs. At Last, again, I wish you much success, and I look forward to watching and seeing what's next for you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Pleasure talking to you today. Honored to talk.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Women Entrepreneur Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. For updates on my next interview, follow me on Facebook at Woman Entrepreneur Spotlight. Until then, keep being awesome.